When Elon Musk walked into Premier Trust Bank wearing torn, dirty clothes and carrying $47,000 in cash, nobody recognized him. His face was covered in dirt. His jacket had holes. He smelled like the street. The bank manager took one look at him, and her nose wrinkled in disgust. "Sir, this is a premium banking institution," she said coldly. "Perhaps you'd be more comfortable at a check cashing place down the street." But Elon didn't leave. He had come to this bank for a very specific reason. He wanted to see how banks treat poor people versus rich people. So he disguised himself as a homeless man to run a secret test. What he discovered inside that bank was so shocking, it would lead to a federal investigation, destroy careers, and change the entire banking system forever. You see, while Elon stood there being treated like a criminal, a wealthy man in an expensive suit walked in right behind him. And what happened next was unbelievable. The same manager who insulted Elon practically ran to greet the rich man with a huge smile, offering him coffee and cookies in the VIP section. But here's where the story gets crazy. Elon wasn't alone in his experience. He met a war veteran who'd been rejected for a small business loan without anyone even looking at his plan. He met a single mother who couldn't cash her paycheck to keep her baby's breathing machine running. And he met a security guard who'd been secretly recording the bank's cruel treatment of poor people for months. Together, these four unlikely people were about to expose something that would shake the entire financial world. But nobody, not the bank president, not the rude manager, not anyone, had any idea who they were really dealing with. And when Elon finally revealed his true identity, what happened next will leave you absolutely speechless. Watch this entire video to find out how a billionaire, a veteran, a struggling mom, and a security guard teamed up to take down one of America's biggest banks and change thousands of lives forever. Trust me, you won't believe how this story ends. The morning sun cast long shadows across the polished marble floors of Premier Trust Bank in Austin, Texas. It was 9:47 a.m. on a cold Tuesday in November, and the bank gleamed with the kind of perfection that only money could buy. Crystal chandeliers hung from the high ceiling. Leather chairs sat in perfect rows. Everything sparkled. Through the heavy revolving doors shuffled a man who didn't sparkle at all. His clothes were torn and dirty. His jacket had holes in both elbows. His jeans were stained with mud and grease. His hair hung in matted clumps around his face. Dark smudges of dirt covered his cheeks and forehead. His shoes were held together with duct tape. He smelled like the street. This was Elon Musk, though nobody in the bank knew it. He clutched a crumpled brown envelope against his chest like it held his entire world. Because it did. Inside that envelope was $47,000 in cash. Money he claimed to have saved over years of collecting cans, doing odd jobs, and living on almost nothing. The other customers in the bank noticed him immediately. A woman in a designer suit pulled her purse closer. A man in an expensive watch wrinkled his nose and stepped away. Two teenage boys nudged each other and pointed, snickering behind their hands. Elon saw all of it. He felt every judgmental stare like a physical weight. He approached the main counter where Veronica Chen sat reviewing documents. She was 42 years old with perfectly styled black hair and a suit that probably cost more than most people's monthly rent. Her nails were painted deep red and filed into sharp points. She wore 3 gold rings and diamond earrings that caught the light. Elon cleared his throat. "Excuse me, ma'am." Veronica didn't look up. Her manicured fingers continued tapping on her keyboard. "Ma'am?" Elon tried again, his voice rougher than usual. "I'd like to open an account." Finally, Veronica glanced up. Her eyes swept over Elon from head to toe. Her nose wrinkled slightly, as if she'd smelled something rotten. Her lips pressed into a thin line. "Sir," she said slowly, making the words sound like an insult. "This is Premier Trust Bank. We're a premium banking institution." "I know," Elon said. He held up his envelope. "That's why I'm here. I need a safe place for my money." Veronica's eyes narrowed. "Your money?" "Yes, ma'am. My life savings." Elon set the envelope on her pristine desk. Veronica stared at the envelope like it might explode. She didn't touch it. Instead, she leaned back in her leather chair and crossed her arms. "Perhaps you'd be more comfortable at a check cashing place," she said. Her voice was cold as ice. "There's one down the street, about 3 blocks. They handle situations like yours." I don't want a check cashing place, Elon said firmly. I want to open a real bank account. Here. A security guard noticed the conversation from across the lobby. His name was Marcus Williams, a tall man with kind eyes and broad shoulders. He started walking toward them slowly, watching carefully. Veronica sighed dramatically. Fine. Where did this money come from? I saved it, Elon explained. Over several years. Collecting recyclables, doing day labor, fixing things for people. Every dollar I didn't need for food, I saved. Uh-huh. Veronica's tone suggested she didn't believe a single word. And you just carry this much cash around in an envelope? I kept it hidden, Elon said. But my place got broken into last week. I can't keep it there anymore. I need a bank account. Veronica's fingers drummed on her desk. Other customers were watching now. She lowered her voice, but her words still cut like knives. Sir, I need to be honest with you. This looks suspicious. A person in your condition showing up with this much cash? Where did it really come from? Elon felt anger rise in his chest, but he forced it down. This was the test. This was exactly why he'd come. I told you where it came from, he said quietly. From hard work. Is it drug money? Veronica asked bluntly. Stolen? No! Elon's voice rose. Several heads turned. I earned every dollar honestly. Then you won't mind if we verify that, Veronica said. She snapped her fingers at Marcus, who had moved closer. Marcus, would you escort this gentleman to the back office? Kevin will want to speak with him. Marcus hesitated. Something in his eyes showed discomfort, but he nodded. Sir, please come with me. Behind Veronica's desk, another manager emerged from a glass office. Kevin Rothschild was 54, with gray hair slicked back with too much gel. His suit was even more expensive than Veronica's. He wore cufflinks shaped like dollar signs. What's the problem here, Veronica? Kevin asked, eyeing Elon with obvious distaste. This individual wishes to open an account, Veronica said, gesturing at Elon like he was a stain on her carpet. He's carrying a large amount of cash with a questionable source. I see, Kevin said. His calculating eyes swept over Elon. Well, we take financial security very seriously at Premier Trust Bank. Marcus, the back office, please. Marcus gestured toward a hallway. This way, sir. As Elon followed Marcus, he glanced back at the main lobby. The scene felt surreal. Just 3 weeks ago, he'd been in SpaceX headquarters discussing Mars missions. Now he was being treated like a criminal for trying to open a bank account. They passed the VIP banking section with its plush sofas and coffee bar. They passed offices with names in gold letters on the doors. Finally, they reached a small room at the back. It had white walls, a metal table, and 3 hard chairs. It looked more like an interrogation room than a consultation space. Wait here, Marcus said. His voice was softer now, almost apologetic. They'll be with you shortly. Elon sat in one of the hard chairs, still clutching his envelope. Through a small window, he could see into the main lobby. Veronica and Kevin stood together, heads close, whispering. Veronica was on her phone, probably calling someone. 5 minutes passed, then 10. Finally, both Veronica and Kevin entered the small room. Kevin closed the door firmly behind them. They sat across from Elon, and Kevin placed a notepad on the table. Let's start from the beginning, Kevin said. Your name? Edison Turner, Elon replied. He'd practiced the name 1,000 times. And you live where? Around, Elon said vaguely. Different places. Homeless then, Veronica stated flatly. I prefer between residences, Elon said. Kevin wasn't amused. Mr. Turner, you're asking us to accept a significant cash deposit from someone with no permanent address and no verifiable income. Surely you can understand our concern. I can provide identification, Elon said. He pulled out a carefully crafted fake ID from his torn jacket. Kevin examined it under the desk lamp, holding it up to the light. He pulled out his phone and started typing. Veronica watched Elon like a hawk watching a mouse. This seems legitimate, Kevin admitted reluctantly. But that doesn't explain the cash. I told you. Yes, recycling and odd jobs, Veronica interrupted. Do you have any proof? Pay stubs? Tax records? I wasn't exactly filing tax returns, Elon said. Convenient, Kevin muttered. Marcus appeared at the door, looking uncomfortable. Sir, there's a situation in the lobby you should know about. Not now, Marcus, Kevin snapped. But through the window, Elon could see something happening. A well-dressed man had entered the bank. He wore a suit that probably cost $5,000. His shoes gleamed. His watch sparkled with diamonds. This was Christopher Ashford III, a name Elon would learn later. Veronica saw him too. Her entire face changed. The cold, suspicious expression melted into warm delight. She jumped up from her chair. "Oh, Mr. Ashford is here. Kevin, we need to..." "Go," Kevin said, annoyed. "I'll handle this." Veronica practically ran from the room. Through the window, Elon watched her transform into a completely different person. She smiled broadly at Christopher. She shook his hand with both of hers. She personally escorted him to the VIP section. Within minutes, someone brought him coffee in a real china cup. A plate of fancy cookies appeared. Christopher was depositing money, roughly the same amount Elon had tried to deposit. But he received champagne treatment while Elon got interrogation and suspicion. The contrast was devastatingly clear. Kevin noticed Elon watching. "Mr. Ashford is a valued long-term client," he said defensively. "Of course he is," Elon said quietly. Kevin's phone buzzed. He checked it, and his expression hardened. He looked at Elon with new coldness. "Mr. Turner, I've verified your identification with our security systems. No warrants, which is good. However, Premier Trust Bank reserves the right to refuse service to anyone for any reason." "You're refusing me?" Elon asked. "We're declining your business, yes." Kevin pushed the envelope back across the metal table. "I suggest you find another institution, one more suited to your circumstances." "What circumstances?" Elon demanded. "I have legal money and proper identification. You also have no permanent address, no verifiable income history, and you appeared here in an unfortunate state." Kevin stood up. "Our decision is final. Marcus will escort you out." Marcus appeared in the doorway again. This time, his hand moved toward his radio. His face showed genuine regret, but he was following orders. "Sir," Marcus said quietly, "I'm going to need you to come with me." Elon stood slowly. His jaw tightened. His hand moved toward his inside jacket pocket. Everyone froze. Veronica, watching from the VIP section, gasped. Kevin stepped back instinctively. Marcus's hand actually touched his radio. "Sir," Marcus said more firmly, "don't do anything we'll all regret." Elon's fingers closed around something in his pocket. He began pulling it out slowly. Kevin's face went pale. Veronica's perfectly manicured hand covered her mouth. But what Elon pulled from his torn, dirty jacket would change absolutely everything. And nobody, not Kevin, not Veronica, not even Marcus, was prepared for what would happen next. What Elon pulled from his jacket wasn't a weapon. It was his phone. "I need to make a call," he said simply. Kevin exhaled in relief. Veronica's hand dropped from her mouth. Marcus's shoulders relaxed slightly, though his expression remained cautious. "Sir, we've already explained our decision," Kevin said, recovering his authoritative tone. "A phone call won't change bank policy." Elon looked at his phone screen for a long moment. His thumb hovered over a contact name. One call would end this experiment immediately. One call would reveal everything and probably terrify these people into apologizing. One call would prove his point, but that wasn't the real test, was it? He slipped the phone back into his pocket without calling anyone. "You're right," Elon said quietly. "A phone call won't change anything." He picked up his envelope of cash and walked toward the door. Marcus stepped aside to let him pass. As Elon moved through the bank toward the exit, he felt every eye in the building on him. The homeless man, the rejected one, the suspicious character they'd successfully expelled. Christopher Ashford III glanced up from his coffee and cookies, barely registering Elon's existence, before returning to his conversation with Veronica. To him, Elon was furniture, background noise, nothing. Elon pushed through the revolving doors and stepped onto the sidewalk. The cold November air hit his face. He walked half a block before stopping at a bus bench and sitting down heavily. His disguise had worked perfectly, too perfectly. But this moment, this exact feeling of worthlessness and rejection, this was what he needed to understand. This was why he'd come. 3 weeks earlier, everything had been different. Elon sat in the SpaceX conference room surrounded by 12 executives. Massive screens displayed rocket designs and Mars colony plans. His CFO, Patricia Dominguez, was presenting quarterly financial reports. Revenue is up 18%, Patricia said, clicking through slides. Our luxury client division continues to outperform projections. Luxury clients? Elon interrupted. What does that mean exactly? Patricia seemed surprised by the question. High net worth individuals, corporations, government contracts. Our primary customer base. Elon frowned. And everyone else? Everyone else can't afford our products, said Marcus Chen, the VP of sales. Our cheapest offering is still beyond most people's reach. That's just market reality. The meeting continued, but Elon's mind wandered. When had he last built something for ordinary people? Really ordinary people, not just upper middle class consumers who could afford electric vehicles? After the meeting, Patricia lingered behind. Elon, you seem distracted today, she said. Everything okay? Tell me about your father, Elon said suddenly. You mentioned something last month about him having trouble at a bank? Patricia's expression darkened. Oh, yes. Dad went to open a savings account after selling his old truck. He'd been working in the garden all morning, so his clothes were dirty. The bank manager treated him like a criminal, questioned where the money came from, implied it might be illegal. My father is 73 years old and has never broken a law in his life. Did he report it? Elon asked. To who? The bank's corporate office? They don't care. Dad just went to a different bank and tried to forget about it. Patricia paused. Why do you ask? Elon stared out the window at the city below. Thousands of people down there living lives he'd never experienced, facing problems he'd never encountered, being judged by standards he'd never been subjected to. Just curious, he said. But he wasn't just curious. An idea was forming. That night, Elon couldn't sleep. He kept thinking about Patricia's father, about dignity, about how society treats people based on appearance rather than character. He'd built companies to revolutionize transportation and make humanity multiplanetary, but what about basic human respect? At 2:01 a.m., he started researching. He read hundreds of online reviews of banks across America. The pattern was unmistakable. Wealthy customers received royal treatment. Poor customers received suspicion and rejection. The same institutions that advertised serving every community member had comment sections filled with stories of humiliation. One review stuck with him. A woman named Maria wrote, "I've been cleaning houses for 20 years. I save every penny. When I tried to open a business account to start my own cleaning company, they looked at my hands, rough from work, and my clothes, simple but clean, and treated me like I was stupid. They used big words and complicated terms to confuse me. Then they denied my application without explanation. I felt invisible." Invisible. By dawn, Elon had made his decision. He was going to become invisible too. Not metaphorically, actually invisible in the way society makes poor people invisible. He would disguise himself as homeless and test how institutions treated the most vulnerable members of society. He chose Premier Trust Bank specifically. Their marketing materials showed diverse, smiling people with slogans like, "Your community bank and banking for everyone." But their online reviews told a different story. Complaints about discrimination, stories of rejection, tales of humiliation. Elon needed help with the disguise. It had to be perfect. He called Darnell Hopkins, a Hollywood makeup artist who'd worked on major films. They'd met at a charity event years ago. "You want me to make you look homeless?" Darnell asked when they met in a private studio. "Why?" "Research," Elon said. "Social experiment. Can you do it?" Darnell studied Elon's face. "I can do anything, but this feels deeper than research. What are you really looking for?" "Truth," Elon said simply. "I want to see how society actually works when you remove wealth and status from the equation." Over the next week, they perfected the transformation. Darnell created prosthetic scarring to alter Elon's distinctive facial structure. Special contact lenses dulled his eyes. A voice coach taught him to change his speech patterns, adding roughness and removing the confident cadence people associated with him. The clothes came from thrift stores, genuinely worn items with real stains and tears. The shoes had holes that weren't faked. The smell came from days without showering and wearing the same outfit repeatedly. Darnell even taught him body language. Rich people move like they own space, Darnell explained. Poor people make themselves smaller. They apologize for existing. You need to do that. The hardest part was the mindset. Elon practiced shuffling instead of striding, looking down instead of making eye contact, apologizing unnecessarily, shrinking himself. They tested the disguise at SpaceX. Elon walked through the lobby during busy hours. His own assistant, Rebecca Tanaka, passed within 3 feet of him without recognition. She actually stepped around him uncomfortably, avoiding eye contact. When Elon revealed himself, Rebecca was horrified. "I didn't even see you," she whispered. "I mean, I saw you, but I didn't see you." "Oh my God, I'm so sorry." "Don't apologize," Elon said. "That's exactly the point. People don't see homeless individuals. They look through them." The night before his bank visit, Elon sat in his disguise, staring at his reflection. The transformation was complete. Nothing about this ragged stranger suggested wealth or power or influence. He was nobody, invisible. Darnell packed up his makeup kit. "Last chance to back out." "I'm not backing out," Elon said. "What if you discover something you're not prepared to see?" Darnell asked quietly. Elon's reflection stared back from the mirror. For a moment, doubt flickered across his face. What if the experiment worked too well? What if people's cruelty was worse than he imagined? What if he couldn't handle experiencing the invisible life? "Then I'll know the truth," Elon said finally. "And the truth is worth knowing, even when it hurts." Darnell nodded slowly. "Just remember, you get to take off this disguise and go back to being a billionaire. The people you're pretending to be, they don't get that option." Those words haunted Elon as he left the studio. He drove to a modest motel on the edge of Austin and checked in under his false name, Edison Turner. He paid cash. The clerk barely looked at him. That night, Elon lay in the uncomfortable bed, wearing his disguise, preparing mentally for tomorrow. He'd faced rocket explosions and near bankruptcy and public criticism, but somehow this felt more frightening. This vulnerability was different. Tomorrow he would enter Premier Trust Bank as nobody, and tomorrow he would learn exactly how society treated nobody. He didn't sleep much that night. Now, sitting on the bus bench outside the bank he'd just been expelled from, Elon understood something profound. The test wasn't about catching people being cruel. It was about feeling what that cruelty actually meant when you had no power to stop it. When you were rejected as Elon Musk, you could make phone calls. You could demand to speak with managers. You could threaten legal action or social media exposure. You had weapons. When you were rejected as Edison Turner, the homeless man with no address and no connections, you had nothing. No weapons, no recourse, just rejection and the door closing in your face. Elon opened his envelope and looked at the cash inside. $47,000 that might as well have been monopoly money. Without an institution willing to accept it, without a permanent address, without society's stamp of legitimacy, even real money became worthless. A young mother pushing a stroller approached the bank entrance. She looked tired. Her clothes were clean but worn. The baby in the stroller was crying. A little girl, maybe 4 years old, held onto the stroller with one hand. Elon watched them enter the bank. Something told him their experience wouldn't be much better than his. He stood up from the bench, still holding his envelope, and made a decision. The experiment wasn't over. Not yet. Not even close. This was just the beginning. Elon positioned himself near the bank's entrance where he could see through the large glass windows. The young mother with the stroller was speaking to a teller now. Even from outside, Elon could read the body language. It wasn't going well. The teller, a woman with blonde hair pulled into a tight bun, kept shaking her head. The young mother's shoulders slumped lower with each head shake. The little girl tugged on her mother's sleeve, sensing something was wrong. After 5 minutes, the mother turned away from the counter, pushing her stroller toward the exit. Her eyes were red. She'd been crying or trying not to cry. Elon stayed on his bench as she emerged from the bank. She stopped just outside the doors, taking deep breaths like she was trying to hold herself together. The baby was still crying. The little girl looked up at her mother with worried eyes. "Mama, are we okay?" the little girl asked in a small voice. "Yes, Sophia," the mother said, but her voice cracked. We're okay. We're always okay. But they clearly weren't okay. Elon stood and approached them slowly, carefully. He knew how he looked, threatening, potentially dangerous. The last thing he wanted was to frighten them. "Excuse me," he said gently. The woman's head snapped up. Her hand moved protectively to her daughter's shoulder. Her eyes showed fear mixed with exhaustion. "I don't want any trouble," she said quickly. "No trouble," Elon assured her. "I was just in that bank. They weren't very kind to me either. I saw your face when you came out. Thought maybe you could use someone who understands." The woman studied him for a moment. Something in his eyes must have convinced her he wasn't a threat because her defensive posture relaxed slightly. "They wouldn't cash my paycheck," she said quietly. "I clean houses, work for 6 different families. They all pay me with checks. I don't have a bank account, so I need to cash them. But the teller said I need 2 forms of ID. I only have my driver's license. My passport expired last year, and I haven't had money to renew it." "What about your employer? Can they verify?" Elon asked. She laughed bitterly. "My employers? I work for different people every day. They're not going to come to a bank to verify a check." The teller knew that. She was just making excuses. The baby's crying intensified. The woman lifted him from the stroller, bouncing him gently. Her movements were practiced but tired. "His name is Miguel," she said. "He's teething, been fussy all week. And this is Sophia." Sophia peeked out from behind her mother, still uncertain about the strange man with dirty clothes. "What's your name?" Elon asked the mother. Isabella Rodriguez." She paused. "You were in there too? They rejected you." "Twice now," Elon said. "First yesterday, then again this morning. I have cash to deposit. They treated me like a criminal." Isabella nodded knowingly. "That's what they do. They look at us and see problems instead of people. My electricity bill is due tomorrow. If I can't cash this check, they'll shut it off. Miguel needs his breathing machine at night. The doctor says his lungs..." Her voice broke. Sophia started crying too, feeding off her mother's distress. Elon made a decision. He reached into his envelope and pulled out $200 bills. He held them out to Isabella. "Take this," he said. Isabella's eyes went wide. She stepped back. No, I can't. You need that money. You were trying to deposit it." "I'll be fine," Elon said. "Your baby needs his breathing machine. Take it." "I don't accept charity," Isabella said firmly. Pride flashed in her eyes despite the tears. "I work for everything I have." "It's not charity," Elon said gently. "Consider it a loan. Pay me back when you can, or don't. Either way, your baby needs to breathe tonight." Isabella stared at the money. Her hands trembled. Sophia tugged on her sleeve again. "Mama, is he helping us?" Sophia asked. That question broke something in Isabella. She took the money with shaking hands, tears streaming down her face. "Thank you," she whispered. "Thank you so much. I will pay you back. I promise. Give me your phone number. I'll pay you back as soon as I can." Elon gave her the number for the prepaid phone he'd purchased for this experiment. He didn't expect she'd actually call, but it seemed to matter to her. "Why would you help me when you need this money too?" Isabella asked, wiping her eyes with the back of her hand. "Because someone has to," Elon replied. The weight of those words surprised even him. Isabella wrote his number on a crumpled receipt from her purse. Then she did something unexpected. She stepped forward and hugged him. Not long, just a brief embrace that said more than words could. "You're a good man," she said. "The world needs more people like you." Elon watched her walk away, pushing the stroller with Sophia holding on tight. He'd just given away $200 he didn't need while pretending to be someone who desperately needed every penny. The irony wasn't lost on him, but what struck him most was Isabella's pride. She hadn't wanted charity. She'd insisted on repaying him. This woman, struggling to keep her electricity on, had more dignity than everyone inside that bank combined. He was still processing this when the bank's side door opened. Marcus, the security guard, stepped out for what appeared to be a break. He lit a cigarette and leaned against the building's brick wall. Their eyes met. Marcus hesitated, then walked over to the bench. "You're still here." "Just leaving," Elon said. "That was decent of you," Marcus said, nodding toward where Isabella had disappeared. "Helping that woman. I saw through the window." You were watching? Part of the job. Watching. Marcus took a drag from his cigarette. But you shouldn't hang around here. Management already flagged you as a suspicious person. They called you into the police database. If you stay, they might call patrol officers to move you along. Is that what you'd do? Elon asked. Move me along? Marcus was quiet for a moment. Honestly, I hate this job, but I need it. My daughter, Keisha, she has diabetes. Insulin costs are insane. I need the health insurance. How'd you end up in security? Elon asked. Marcus laughed without humor. That's a long story. Short version? I have a college degree in social work. Wanted to help people, make a difference. But I made one stupid mistake when I was 22. Got caught with marijuana at a concert. This was before it was legal in most places. Got charged with possession. That's it? Possession? That's it. But it's a criminal record. Social services won't hire anyone with a record, even for something minor. 10 years later, and that one mistake still follows me everywhere. So I work security at a bank where I watch people with real problems get turned away by people who've never had problems in their lives. The bitterness in Marcus's voice was palpable. You see it a lot? Elon asked. People being turned away? Every single day, Marcus said. And it's always the same. If you're dressed nice, speak nice, smell nice, they treat you like royalty. But if you look like you've actually worked a day in your life, like that woman with the stroller, like you, they find reasons to say no. Marcus flicked ash from his cigarette. Last month, an elderly man came in. He was a veteran, had his army jacket on with medals and everything, wanted to apply for a small business loan to open a bicycle repair shop. You know what the loan officer did? What? Elon asked. Didn't even look at his business plan. Just saw his worn-out clothes and his disability pension as his main income, and said no. Took maybe 3 minutes. Meanwhile, that same week, she approved a $500,000 loan for some rich guy's vacation property. His third vacation property. Elon felt anger building in his chest. That's legal? Technically, yes. Banks can set their own criteria for loans. But we all know what's really happening. It's not about creditworthiness or business plans. It's about class. It's about who looks the part and who doesn't. Does anyone ever complain? Report it? Elon asked. Marcus laughed again. Report it to who? The bank? They don't care. Corporate offices? They set these policies. The government? Good luck proving discrimination when everything is documented in careful language that sounds legitimate on paper. He dropped his cigarette and crushed it under his boot. I keep a journal, actually. Been documenting incidents for about 6 months now. Every time I see something wrong, I write it down. Dates, times, names, what happened. I even got some video on my phone when I could do it without being noticed. Why? Elon asked. If you can't report it, why document it? Marcus looked directly at Elon. Because one day it might matter. One day someone might care enough to do something about it. Probably not, but maybe. And if that day comes, I want to have evidence. There was something heroic about Marcus. He was trapped in a job he hated, watching injustice daily, but still maintaining hope that documentation might someday mean something. Still believing that truth mattered even when no one was listening. Can I see it? Elon asked. Your documentation? Marcus studied him carefully. Why would you care? You got your own problems. Maybe I just want to know I'm not crazy, Elon said. That what I experienced in there wasn't just bad luck. Marcus pulled out his phone. He scrolled through videos and photos. There was Veronica mocking a man with a speech impediment after he left. There was Kevin making assumptions about a Hispanic family's income source, saying they probably got the money from dealing. There was the loan officer rejecting the elderly veteran without even opening his business plan folder. Elon watched video after video. Each one made his anger grow. How do you stand it? Elon asked. Watching this every day and not being able to stop it? What choice do I have? Marcus said. I tried speaking up once. Told Kevin that he was being unfair to a customer. You know what he did? Wrote me up for insubordination. Told me my job was security, not customer advocacy. Next time I spoke up, he threatened to fire me. So I stopped speaking. Started recording instead. Marcus pocketed his phone. My break's over. I should get back inside. But seriously, man, you should leave. Don't give them a reason to call the cops on you. What if I told you something big was going to happen here? Elon said suddenly. Something that could make your documentation matter? Marcus raised an eyebrow. What are you talking about? Just keep recording, keep documenting, and pay attention tomorrow. Tomorrow? Why tomorrow? Elon stood up from the bench. Because tomorrow the bank president makes his monthly visit. Donald Hartwick, he comes once a month to tour the branch, right? Marcus looked surprised. How do you know that? I pay attention too, Elon said, and I think tomorrow's going to be very interesting. Marcus studied Elon with new curiosity. Who are you really? Someone who's tired of watching good people get treated badly, Elon said. That's all you need to know for now. Marcus nodded slowly. All right, I'll be here tomorrow, and I'll keep my phone charged. As Marcus walked back into the bank, Elon sat down on the bench again. His mind was racing with plans. The experiment had revealed exactly what he suspected. Systemic discrimination hiding behind corporate politeness. But documentation wasn't enough. Evidence wasn't enough. He needed to force a moment of truth that couldn't be ignored or explained away. Tomorrow, when Donald Hartwick arrived to admire his kingdom, Elon would be waiting, but not alone. He needed allies. He needed witnesses. He needed to make the invisible visible. He pulled out his phone and started making calls, not to reveal himself yet, but to set pieces in motion. There were people who could help without knowing who was really asking, resources he could mobilize, plans he could execute. By tomorrow morning, Premier Trust Bank would face a test they never saw coming, and the results would change everything, not just for this one branch, but potentially for banking institutions across the country. Elon looked at his reflection in the bank's glass windows. The ragged stranger looked back at him. Tomorrow, that stranger would become impossible to ignore. Tomorrow, the invisible would become visible. And no one inside that pristine marble building had any idea what was coming. Elon didn't sleep at the motel that night. He spent hours on his phone and laptop, researching, planning, and making careful arrangements. By dawn, he'd assembled the pieces he needed. Now he just had to wait for the right moment. At 8:30 a.m., he returned to Premier Trust Bank in his full disguise. The morning was colder than yesterday, with gray clouds threatening rain. Perfect weather for what he had planned. He didn't enter the bank immediately. Instead, he sat on the same bench across the street, watching the flow of customers. The pattern was exactly as Marcus had described. Wealthy clients walked in confidently and received immediate attention. Working-class customers hesitated at the doors, and many left looking defeated. Around 9:45 a.m., a sleek black Mercedes pulled into the VIP parking spot right in front of the entrance. A man emerged who could only be Donald Hartwick. He was 62 with silver hair, perfectly styled. His suit probably cost more than most people earned in a month. Gold cufflinks caught the morning light. He walked with the confidence of someone who'd never been told no in his entire life. Veronica must have been watching for him because she appeared at the entrance before he even reached the doors. She greeted him with an enormous smile, shaking his hand enthusiastically. Kevin emerged right behind her, equally eager to please. Through the windows, Elon watched Hartwick tour the bank like a king inspecting his castle. He stopped at employee desks, nodding with approval. He chatted with wealthy clients in the VIP section, laughing loudly at their jokes. He never once glanced at the regular customers waiting in line. Elon was about to stand and enter when something unexpected happened. An elderly man in a faded army jacket walked up to the bank entrance. He moved slowly, with a slight limp. His jacket was covered with military medals and patches. In his weathered hands, he carried a worn folder. This was Walter Thompson. Though Elon didn't know his name yet, Walter stood at the entrance for a full minute, gathering courage before pulling open the heavy door. Elon's instincts told him to follow. He crossed the street and entered the bank about 20 seconds behind Walter. Inside, Walter approached the loan department. The loan officer, Sandra Pemberton, was a woman in her 40s with perfectly applied makeup and a smile that didn't reach her eyes. She was typing on her computer when Walter cleared his throat. "Excuse me," Walter said. His voice was polite but carried the roughness of someone who'd spent years shouting orders in combat zones. "I'd like to inquire about a small business loan." Sandra glanced up briefly. Her eyes swept over Walter's worn jacket, his old shoes, his calloused hands. Her smile tightened. "Of course, sir. What type of business?" "A bicycle repair shop," Walter said, his voice gaining enthusiasm. He opened his folder carefully. "I've been planning this for 3 years. I have a complete business plan here, market research, projected income, everything. I just need $15,000 to get started." Sandra didn't reach for the folder. "And your current income?" "I receive disability pension from the Army," Walter said. $3,200 a month. Plus I have $17,000 in savings." "I see." Sandra's tone had already shifted from professional to dismissive. "Mr. Thompson, Walter Thompson, I served 3 tours overseas. Got injured in—" "That's admirable, Mr. Thompson," Sandra interrupted, though her voice suggested she found it anything but. "However, our business loans require a minimum income threshold of $5,000 monthly from employment or established business revenue. Disability pension doesn't qualify as stable income for loan purposes." Walter's face fell. "But I have savings, and my business plan shows I'll be profitable within 6 months. If you just look at—" "I'm sorry, but our criteria are quite clear." Sandra was already looking past Walter to the next person in line. "We can't approve your application. Thank you for your interest in Premier Trust Bank." She said it with such finality, such casual dismissal. 3 years of planning, a lifetime of service, rejected in under 2 minutes. Walter stood there, folder still extended, trying to process what had just happened. "You won't even look at my business plan?" "Sir, there's no point. You don't meet the income requirements. Next." Walter's shoulders slumped. He closed his folder slowly, carefully, like he was closing a coffin. As he turned to leave, Elon saw his face clearly. It wasn't just disappointment. It was the expression of a man who'd been told his dreams didn't matter because he didn't have the right kind of money. Walter limped past Elon toward the exit. Behind them, Elon heard Hartwick's loud laughter from the VIP section. He was telling a story about his new yacht, how the previous owner had practically given it away for $2 million. The contrast was obscene. Elon followed Walter outside. The old veteran sat heavily on a bench, staring at his folder. His hands trembled slightly. "They didn't even look at your plan," Elon said, sitting beside him. Walter glanced over, unsurprised to see another down-and-out person. Misery recognized misery. "No, they didn't," Walter said quietly. "Just saw my worn-out jacket and decided I wasn't worth their time." "Can I see it?" Elon asked, nodding at the folder. "Your business plan?" Walter hesitated, then handed it over. "Sure, why not? Nobody else wants to see it." Elon opened the folder and began reading. What he found stunned him. This wasn't some amateur dream scribbled on napkins. This was a comprehensive, professional business plan. Market analysis showing a genuine need for affordable bicycle repair in this neighborhood. Detailed financial projections that were actually conservative and realistic. Partnership proposals with local schools to teach kids mechanical skills. A community vision that went beyond just making money. "This is excellent," Elon said. "Really excellent. You did this yourself?" "Took classes at the community college," Walter said with a hint of pride breaking through his dejection. "Business planning, accounting basics, marketing. Used my GI Bill benefits. Thought if I did everything right, if I proved I was serious, someone would give me a chance." "Tell me about yourself," Elon said. Walter shrugged. "Not much to tell. Enlisted when I was 19. Served 22 years. 3 combat deployments. Got injured by an IED in my last tour. Messed up my leg and gave me hearing problems. Medically retired. My wife Sarah, she always said when I got out, I should open that bike shop I dreamed about. She died 2 years ago. Cancer." His voice cracked on that last word. "I promised her," Walter continued. "Promised I'd chase the dream. Bicycles were always my thing. Even as a kid. After combat, working with my hands, fixing things, it's the only time my mind quiets down. The only time I don't see—" He trailed off, but Elon understood. PTSD, the invisible wounds that followed soldiers home. So you put together this plan to honor her memory, Elon said. And to finally do something for myself, Walter admitted. But I guess it doesn't matter how good your plan is if you don't look the part. That woman in there, she saw my disability check and decided I was a risk. Never mind my credit score is 720. Never mind I've never missed a payment on anything in my life. Never mind I served my country for over 2 decades. Elon felt rage building again, but also something else. Determination. The system's rigged, Walter said, but without bitterness, just tired acceptance. Men like Hartwick in there, they don't see men like us. We're invisible. We don't matter. That word again, invisible. Before Elon could respond, he heard a familiar voice. Isabella was coming down the sidewalk, pushing her stroller. Sophia walked beside her, and baby Miguel was quieter today, sleeping peacefully. Isabella spotted Elon and her face lit up with genuine joy. She rushed over, digging into her purse. "I found you!" she exclaimed. "I was hoping you'd be here." She pulled out $50 in small bills and pressed them into Elon's hand. "It's all I can manage right now, but I always pay my debts. I'll have the rest in 2 weeks when I get paid again." Elon was stunned. "Isabella, you didn't have to." "Yes, I did," she insisted firmly. "You helped me when you needed help yourself. That means everything." Miguel's breathing machine stayed on. "We're okay because of you." Sophia tugged on Elon's torn jacket. "Thank you for helping my mama," she said shyly. Elon felt something break inside his chest. This woman, struggling to survive, had tracked him down to repay a debt she didn't legally owe. This was honor. This was integrity. And the bank had rejected her. Walter watched the exchange with interest. "You helped her?" "Just a small loan," Elon said. "Nothing small about it when you need it," Isabella said. She noticed Walter's folder. "What's that?" "A dream that's not going to happen," Walter said. Isabella sat down on the bench, uninvited but unworried. Sophia climbed up next to her. "Tell me about it." Something about Isabella's genuine interest made Walter open up. He told her about the bicycle shop, about Sarah, about the rejection he'd just received. Isabella listened with complete attention, occasionally asking questions that showed she actually understood business planning. "I used to work in banking," Isabella revealed. "Before I had kids, I was a loan processor, left when I got pregnant with Sophia because they wouldn't give me flexible hours. Then when I tried to come back, they said I'd been out of the field too long." "Did you see this kind of thing when you worked there?" Walter asked. "People getting rejected for wrong reasons?" "All the time," Isabella admitted. "There was this one client, an immigrant woman who ran a food cart. She wanted to expand to a food truck. Her business was profitable, her credit was good, but my supervisor kept finding reasons to deny her. Said her English wasn't good enough, that her business model was too risky. Meanwhile, he approved a loan for his buddy's sports bar that had way worse projections. When I advocated for her, pointed out the discrimination, I got called into HR. They said I was being difficult and not a team player. 6 months later, they found an excuse to let me go." "You were blacklisted for doing the right thing," Elon said. "Basically," Isabella confirmed. "Couldn't get hired anywhere else in banking. So I started cleaning houses. It's honest work, but it's not what I trained for. Not what I'm good at." The three of them sat there, a disguised billionaire, a rejected veteran, and a blacklisted banking professional. 3 people the system had decided didn't matter. Then Marcus appeared, coming around the corner on what looked like another break. He saw the group and approached cautiously. "You came back," Marcus said to Elon. "Told you I would," Elon replied. Marcus noticed Walter's army jacket and nodded with respect. "Thank you for your service, sir." "Lot of good it does me," Walter said, but not unkindly. "You former military?" Marcus asked. 22 years, Walter confirmed. "My father was Army too," Marcus said. "Taught me about honor and duty. Also taught me the world doesn't always honor those values." They talked for several minutes, these 4 unlikely people forming an accidental community on a bench outside a bank that had rejected them all. They shared stories of discrimination, of barriers, of systems designed to keep certain people out. And as they talked, Elon made a decision. The plan he'd formed last night was good, but it wasn't enough. These 3 people, Marcus with his documentation, Walter with his dignity, Isabella with her insider knowledge. They weren't just witnesses to injustice. They were the evidence. They were the story. What was about to happen needed to be about more than exposing one bank. It needed to be about lifting up the people the system tried to keep invisible. "Something's going to happen today," Elon said quietly. "Something big, and I need all of you to trust me." They looked at him with curiosity and confusion. "Why should we trust you?" Isabella asked, though her tone wasn't hostile. "Just curious." "Because I see you," Elon said simply. "All of you, and I'm going to make sure everyone else sees you too." Marcus's phone buzzed. He checked it and his eyes widened. "Oh no, there's a federal banking inspector inside. Gregory Mendez. He just showed up unannounced with his team." Hartwick is panicking. Elon smiled. That was the first piece falling into place. "Is that good?" Walter asked. "That's very good," Elon said. "That's the beginning of everything changing." But what none of them knew, what Elon was about to discover, was that Inspector Gregory Mendez was about to recognize him despite the disguise, and that recognition would force a choice: reveal himself now and lose the moral weight of his experience, or maintain the disguise and risk his entire plan falling apart. The choice would have to be made in the next few minutes, and Elon had no idea which option was right. Marcus hurried back inside the bank, leaving Elon alone with Walter and Isabella. Through the large glass windows, they could see chaos unfolding in slow motion. Gregory Mendez stood in the center of the lobby with another inspector, both wearing dark suits and carrying federal identification badges. Hartwick's silver hair seemed to lose its shine as he gestured nervously. Veronica stood rigid at her desk, face pale. Kevin was shuffling papers with trembling hands. "Federal inspectors don't just show up randomly," Isabella said, her banking experience showing. "Someone tipped them off, someone with evidence." Elon said nothing, but his mind was racing. He'd made calls last night to certain regulatory contacts, mentioned some concerns about discriminatory practices. He'd expected an investigation eventually, not an immediate surprise audit. This was moving faster than anticipated. "Should we leave?" Walter asked. "Feels like we shouldn't be watching this." "No," Elon said firmly. "Stay. This matters to all of you." Inside the bank, Gregory was requesting files. Sandra, the loan officer who'd rejected Walter, brought a stack of folders to a table the inspectors had commandeered. Her hands shook as she set them down. Gregory opened the first file and began reading. His partner took notes on a tablet. After several minutes, Gregory said something to Hartwick that made the bank president's face turn red. "He's found something," Isabella whispered. "Look at Hartwick's body language. That's a man who knows he's in trouble." They watched as Gregory methodically reviewed file after file. The pattern must have been obvious even from a distance. Wealthy applicants received quick approvals, while working-class applicants faced rejection after rejection, often with barely any review. "That's my file he's looking at now," Walter said suddenly, recognizing his own business plan folder. "I can see the cover." Gregory spent a long time on Walter's application. He showed something to his partner, pointing at specific sections. Both inspectors shook their heads with what looked like disgust. Then Gregory looked up through the window, scanning the street outside. His eyes landed on Walter's army jacket, visible even from inside the bank. Then his gaze shifted to Elon and stopped. Gregory stared for several seconds. His eyes narrowed. Something in Elon's posture, or his eyes, or some indefinable quality triggered recognition. Gregory had testified before a congressional committee 2 months ago, where Elon had spoken about commercial space regulation. He'd seen Elon up close, studied his mannerisms. Now Gregory was seeing past the dirt and torn clothes to the person underneath. Elon saw the moment of recognition flash across Gregory's face. His heart rate spiked. This was it. The moment his cover would be blown and everything would change. But Gregory didn't react. He held Elon's gaze for another moment, then deliberately looked away and returned to his files. The message was clear. "I know who you are, and I'm going to let you keep playing this out." "That inspector just stared at you for a long time," Isabella observed. "You know him?" "Never met him," Elon said. It was technically true. Marcus emerged from the bank again, this time with obvious urgency. He walked directly to the group, glancing over his shoulder to make sure no one was watching. "The inspector wants to talk to you," Marcus said, looking at Elon. "All of you, actually. He's asking if there are any recent customers who felt they were treated unfairly. I told him about yesterday, about what happened to you." Elon's pulse quickened. "What did you tell him exactly?" "That I witnessed a man with legitimate cash being rejected and treated like a criminal. That I saw discrimination happening right in front of me." Marcus pulled out his phone. "And I showed him some of my videos. He wants to see more. He wants to hear your stories." "I don't know," Walter said hesitantly. "Getting involved with federal investigations, that's serious business." "So is discrimination," Isabella countered. "So is watching people's dreams get crushed for no good reason." "If we talk to him, can we get in trouble?" Walter asked. "I don't want problems. I just want my shop." "You won't get in trouble," Marcus assured him. "These are federal banking regulators. They have authority over the bank, not you, and they're looking for evidence of systemic discrimination. Your stories matter." Gregory emerged from the bank with his partner. He walked directly toward their bench, carrying Walter's business plan folder. Hartwick and Veronica watched nervously from the window. "Mr. Thompson," Gregory said, stopping in front of Walter. "I'm Inspector Gregory Mendez with the Federal Reserve's Consumer Compliance Division. I've been reviewing your loan application. May I ask you some questions?" Walter stood up slowly, leaning on his cane. "I suppose so." "Your business plan is excellent," Gregory said. "Comprehensive market research, realistic projections, clear vision. Your credit score is 720 and you have substantial savings. Can you tell me why you believe your application was denied?" Walter glanced at the bank windows. "The loan officer said my income didn't meet their threshold. She wouldn't even look at my plan." "How long did your consultation last?" "Maybe 2 minutes," Walter said. "She asked about my income. I said disability pension, and she immediately said no." Gregory's jaw tightened. "Did she review any of your financial documents? Ask about your military service? Inquire about your business experience?" "No, sir. She just saw the pension and decided I wasn't worth her time." Gregory made notes on his tablet. Then he turned to Isabella. "Ma'am, I understand you attempted to cash a paycheck yesterday and were denied?" "Yes," Isabella said. "The teller said I needed 2 forms of ID. I only had my driver's license, but I've seen other customers cash checks with just 1 ID. They were dressed differently than me." "Can you describe how they were dressed?" "Business clothes, expensive watches. They looked wealthy. The tellers were friendly to them. To me, they were cold." More notes. Then Gregory turned to Elon. His eyes held that same knowing look from inside the bank. "And you, sir? I understand you attempted to open an account with a substantial cash deposit and were refused service. Twice." "That's correct," Elon said carefully. "How much were you attempting to deposit?" $47,000. Gregory's eyebrows rose. "That's a significant amount. Did they give you a reason for the refusal?" "They questioned where the money came from," Elon said. "Implied it might be stolen or connected to drugs. They treated me like a criminal instead of a customer." "Did they verify the authenticity of the currency?" "Yes, it was all legitimate. They knew it was real. They just didn't believe someone like me could have earned it honestly." Gregory nodded slowly. "Someone like you? Meaning?" "Someone who looks homeless," Elon said quietly. "Someone who doesn't fit their image of a valued customer." Gregory closed his tablet. "I want to be transparent with you all. We've been investigating Premier Trust Bank for 18 months based on statistical patterns in their lending and service practices. But statistics alone aren't enough to prove active discrimination. We need documented instances, witness testimony, evidence of disparate treatment." He gestured to the bank behind him. "What I've seen in the last hour confirms our suspicions. Approval rates for wealthy applicants are 87%. For working-class applicants with comparable creditworthiness, 23%. The loan criteria are applied inconsistently based on appearance and perceived social class." "So what happens now?" Marcus asked. "Now we expand our investigation," Gregory said. "We'll be subpoenaing all records, interviewing staff, and documenting every instance of discrimination we can prove. But I need cooperation from people who experience that discrimination firsthand." Walter shifted his weight. "What would we have to do?" Provide formal statements. Possibly testify if this goes to a hearing. Be willing to go on record about what happened to you. Will we be protected? Isabella asked. I can't afford to lose my cleaning jobs if word gets out. I'm involved in a federal investigation. You'll have full whistleblower protection, Gregory assured her. Any retaliation would be a federal offense. There was a long silence. Sophia tugged on Isabella's sleeve. Baby Miguel started fussing in his stroller. Walter stared at his business plan folder in Gregory's hands. Marcus glanced back at the bank where his job waited. I'll do it, Walter said suddenly. I promised my wife I'd chase this dream. If speaking up means something might actually change, then I owe it to her. I owe it to every veteran who comes after me. Me too, Isabella said. I was fired for speaking up once before. I won't be silenced again. Marcus nodded. I've been documenting this for months, hoping someone would care. I'm in. All eyes turned to Elon. This was his decision point. He could maintain his disguise, provide his testimony as Edison Turner, and remain one of the victims. Or he could reveal himself now, transform from participant to orchestrator, and potentially lose the authentic emotional weight of his experience. Gregory was watching him carefully, waiting. The inspector's expression seemed to say, your choice, but choose wisely. I need to make a phone call first, Elon said. Is that okay? Of course, Gregory said. Elon walked a few steps away, pulling out his phone. He didn't actually call anyone. He just needed a moment to think. Behind him, he could hear Gregory talking quietly with the others, explaining the investigation process. Inside the bank, Hartwick was on his own phone, probably calling the corporate legal team. Veronica sat at her desk, head in her hands. Kevin paced nervously. Elon thought about Patricia's father, humiliated for having garden dirt on his clothes. He thought about all the online reviews from people who'd been made to feel invisible. He thought about Isabella's determination to repay a debt she didn't owe. Walter's 3 years of careful planning dismissed in 2 minutes. Marcus's courage in documenting injustice when he had everything to lose. He thought about the promise he'd made on the bench yesterday, to make the invisible visible. If he revealed himself now, he became the story. Billionaire goes undercover would dominate headlines, but the real victims would become supporting characters in his narrative. Their experiences would be secondary to his stunt, but if he maintained the disguise, he remained one of them. His testimony carried the same weight. The story stayed focused on systemic injustice, not on one person's social experiment. The decision crystallized. He pocketed his phone and returned to the group. I'm in. I'll provide whatever testimony you need. Gregory nodded with approval. Good. I'll need all of you to come to my office later today to provide formal statements. But first, I need to finish inside. He paused, looking at Elon with that knowing expression again. Mr. Turner, I get the feeling your story is particularly important. We'll spend extra time on your testimony. Whatever you need, Elon said. As Gregory and his partner returned to the bank, Walter sat down heavily on the bench. I can't believe this is happening. After all this time of being ignored, someone actually cares. Someone always cared, Isabella said gently. We just couldn't reach them until now. Marcus's phone buzzed. He checked it and his expression darkened. Kevin just texted the security group chat. He's asking us to watch for anyone who might be working with the investigators. He's paranoid about conspiracies. Let him be paranoid, Elon said. Let him wonder what's coming. Inside the bank, customers were starting to notice something unusual was happening. People whispered and pointed. Some took photos of the federal inspectors. A few left quickly, as if being associated with an investigation made them uncomfortable. Sophia looked up at the adults with wide, confused eyes. Is something bad happening? No, sweetheart, Isabella said, smoothing her daughter's hair. Something good is happening. Sometimes good things look scary at first, but they're necessary. Walter opened his business plan folder and looked at the pages he'd worked on for 3 years. Do you think anything will actually change? Or is this just going to be a slap on the wrist, a fine they'll pay and forget about? I don't know, Elon admitted, but change starts somewhere. Maybe it starts here. What none of them could see, what would only become clear in the next hour, was that Gregory's investigation had uncovered something much bigger than discrimination at one branch. The patterns extended throughout the entire Premier Trust Bank chain. Hundreds of rejected applications, thousands of discouraged customers, a systematic approach to filtering out anyone who didn't meet certain class markers. And Gregory had just requested backup from his superiors. More investigators were coming. More evidence would be gathered. This wasn't going to be a quiet settlement. This was going to be a reckoning. But first, there was one more test. One more person who needed to see the truth up close. And that person had just pulled up in a black SUV. The black SUV's doors opened, and two people emerged. One was a woman in her 30s wearing a federal badge on her belt. The other was a man in an expensive suit who carried himself with the authority of someone used to being in charge. Gregory emerged from the bank immediately, greeting them both. There was a brief conversation on the sidewalk. Then all three entered Premier Trust Bank together. Through the windows, Elon watched Hartwick's face drain of color. "That's not good for them," Isabella observed. "When federal agents start calling in reinforcements, it means they found serious problems." Marcus had been watching his phone. The staff group chat is blowing up. Everyone's panicking. Kevin's telling people to delete any questionable emails. Sandra's asking if she needs a lawyer. "Deleting evidence during a federal investigation," Walter said. "That's obstruction, isn't it?" "Sure is," Marcus confirmed. "They're making it worse for themselves." Elon watched the scene unfold with grim satisfaction. This was justice in motion, but it felt hollow somehow. Punishing bad actors was necessary, but it didn't create opportunity for good people. It didn't open Walter's bicycle shop or give Isabella her career back or clear Marcus's record. Punishment wasn't enough. There had to be building, creating, lifting up. "Can I ask you all something?" Elon said suddenly. "If you could design a perfect financial institution, one that actually served everyone fairly, what would it look like?" The question seemed to catch them off guard. Walter spoke first. "It would have loan officers who actually looked at business plans instead of just checking income boxes. People who understood that military pension is stable income, maybe more stable than a lot of jobs. It would have staff who understood what it's like to struggle," Isabella added. "People who'd been there themselves, not just wealthy kids fresh out of college who've never worried about electricity bills. It would judge people on character and potential, not appearance," Marcus said, "and it would give second chances. One mistake shouldn't follow you forever." Sophia, who'd been listening quietly, piped up. "It would be nice to people. Even when they look messy." Everyone smiled at her simple wisdom. "Out of the mouths of children," Walter said softly. Elon pulled out his phone and started typing notes. The three adults watched him curiously. "What are you doing?" Isabella asked. "Just thinking," Elon said, "about possibilities." Inside the bank, the situation was deteriorating rapidly. More files were being pulled. Staff members were being separated and interviewed individually. Hartwick was on his phone constantly, his gestures becoming more agitated with each call. A news van pulled up across the street. Then another. Word was spreading that federal investigators were at Premier Trust Bank. Reporters began setting up cameras on the sidewalk. "Oh boy," Marcus muttered. "This is about to become very public." A young reporter with perfectly styled hair approached their bench. "Excuse me, do any of you bank here? Can you tell me what's happening?" Walter shook his head. "No comment." "Are you customers? Were you denied service?" The reporter persisted, sensing a story. "We said no comment," Isabella said firmly, moving to shield Sophia from the camera. The reporter backed off but stayed nearby, filming the bank entrance. More media arrived. Within 20 minutes, there were 5 news crews, photographers, and even a few people live streaming on their phones. Gregory emerged from the bank and approached their bench, ignoring the reporters calling questions at him. "Things are moving faster than expected," he said quietly. "My supervisor wants formal statements today, not later. Can you come to our office now? We have a car waiting around the corner to avoid the media circus." "What about our jobs?" Marcus asked. "I'm supposed to be on shift." "Consider yourself a material witness in a federal investigation," Gregory said. "Your employer cannot retaliate. If they try, they'll face additional charges." Marcus looked torn. His daughter needed insulin. He needed this job. But Walter put a hand on his shoulder. "Sometimes you have to risk security for what's right," the old veteran said. "Trust me, I know that's scary, but some things matter more than safety. Easy for you to say, Marcus replied, but his tone wasn't harsh. You've already lived your life. I've got a kid depending on me. Which is exactly why you should do this, Walter countered. So she grows up in a world that's a little bit fairer. Marcus closed his eyes, wrestling with the decision. Finally, he nodded. Okay, I'll do it. Isabella was already standing, lifting Miguel from his stroller. Let's go. Sophia, hold Mama's hand. They walked around the corner where an unmarked federal vehicle waited. The driver was another inspector, younger, with kind eyes. They all climbed in, 4 adults, a toddler, and a baby in a car seat they borrowed from Isabella's stroller. As they drove away from Premier Trust Bank, Elon looked back at the building. Reporters crowded the entrance. Federal agents moved in and out with boxes of files. Customers stood confused on the sidewalk. It looked like a crime scene, which in a way it was. The federal office was downtown, a nondescript government building with tight security. They went through metal detectors and signed visitor logs. Gregory led them to a conference room with a long table and recording equipment. We'll interview you each separately, Gregory explained. Standard procedure. It prevents testimony from being influenced. Who wants to go first? I will, Walter volunteered. Might as well get it over with. While Walter was being interviewed in another room, the rest waited in the conference room. Someone brought coffee and snacks. Sophia colored on paper that a kind secretary provided. Miguel slept in Isabella's arms. Marcus paced nervously. What if they fire me anyway? What if I can't find another job? You will, Elon said with certainty. Trust me on that. How would you know? Marcus asked, not unkindly. Just a feeling, Elon said. Isabella was studying him. You're different from what you appear, aren't you? The way you talk sometimes. It's not what I expected. What did you expect? Elon asked. I don't know, but there's something about you. The way you handled that money yesterday, the questions you ask. You seem educated despite... She gestured at his ragged appearance. I read a lot, Elon said, which was true. Library cards are free. She nodded but didn't look entirely convinced. Walter returned after 45 minutes, looking drained but satisfied. They asked about everything, every detail of my application, my interactions with the loan officer, how it made me feel. They recorded all of it. How it made you feel, Marcus asked. Why does that matter? Because discrimination isn't just about policy violations, Gregory said, appearing in the doorway. It's about human impact. The emotional harm, the destroyed opportunities, the message it sends about worth and value. That matters in our assessment. Isabella went next. She was gone for over an hour. When she returned, her eyes were red, but her expression was determined. They asked about my banking career, she said, about why I was really fired, about the clients I tried to help. They're going to investigate my old employer too. Marcus went third. He brought his phone with all his documented videos and photos. He was gone the longest, nearly 2 hours. When he came back, he looked exhausted, but lighter somehow, like he'd been carrying weight and finally set it down. They want copies of everything, he said. Every video, every photo, every note I made. They called it crucial evidence of systematic patterns. Finally, it was Elon's turn. Gregory led him to a smaller interview room with just 2 chairs and recording equipment. The door closed, leaving them alone. Before we begin the official statement, Gregory said quietly, I want to acknowledge something. I know who you are, Mr. Musk. Elon's stomach tightened. I don't know what you... Please, Gregory interrupted gently. I testified before Congress 2 months ago. You spoke about commercial space regulation. I spent 3 hours in a room with you. I know your mannerisms, your speech patterns, your eyes. The disguise is excellent, but I've been trained to see past appearances. Elon was silent. I haven't told anyone, Gregory continued. Not my partner, not my supervisor, not anyone. Because I understand what you're doing, and I respect it. You wanted to experience discrimination firsthand, to understand what vulnerable people face. That takes courage and humility. Why didn't you expose me? Elon asked. Because your testimony matters more if you remain Edison Turner, Gregory said. If the world knows you're Elon Musk doing an undercover stunt, the story becomes about you. But if you're just another victim of discrimination, the story stays focused on the systemic problem, which is what really matters. Elon felt a wave of relief mixed with respect for this man's integrity. However, Gregory continued, I need to know your intentions. Are you planning to reveal yourself? Because if you are, I need to prepare for the media firestorm that will follow. I wasn't planning to, Elon said. Not yet anyway. But circumstances are evolving fast. I'm adapting. What's your endgame here? Elon thought carefully before answering. To prove that dignity shouldn't depend on bank balance, to expose how broken these systems are, and to do something about it, not just punish bad actors, but create alternatives that actually serve everyone. Gregory nodded slowly. Creating alternatives. That's ambitious. That requires resources. I'm aware, Elon said. Resources you happen to have access to, Gregory said meaningfully, even as Edison Turner, somehow. They locked eyes. An understanding passed between them. When this investigation concludes, Gregory said, Premier Trust Bank will face significant penalties, fines, oversight, mandatory retraining, possibly criminal charges for individuals who destroyed evidence. But that doesn't help Walter open his shop or give Isabella her career back or clear Marcus's record. No, Elon agreed. It doesn't. So what are you going to do about that? Gregory asked. It was a challenge and an invitation simultaneously. I'm going to start something, Elon said. A financial institution that operates on different principles. Merit over appearance, character over credit score, or at least character weighted equally. Second chances. Investment in overlooked potential. That's a nice vision, Gregory said. But vision without execution is just a dream. I'm not just a dreamer, Elon said quietly. Gregory smiled slightly. No, Mr. Musk, you're certainly not. They spent the next 2 hours conducting the official interview. Elon recounted every detail of his 2 visits to Premier Trust Bank as Edison Turner. The suspicious looks, the demeaning questions, the casual cruelty, the stark contrast in how Christopher Ashford III was treated. Gregory recorded everything meticulously. When they finished, Gregory turned off the recording equipment and leaned back in his chair. This investigation is going to make national news, or worse, he said. Discrimination in banking isn't new, but the documentation you've all provided is unusually compelling. When the media starts digging, they're going to want to interview victims. Are you prepared for that level of attention as Edison Turner? I'll manage, Elon said. And when you eventually reveal yourself? Because you will eventually. People like you don't stay hidden forever. When that happens, how do you prevent it from overshadowing the real issues? It was a good question, one Elon had been wrestling with. By making sure the solution is bigger than the stunt, Elon said, by the time I reveal myself, there needs to be real infrastructure in place, real help for real people. That way, even if the media focuses on me, the tangible benefits can't be ignored. Gregory studied him for a long moment. You're playing a dangerous game. If this goes wrong, you'll be accused of publicity seeking at the expense of people who are genuinely suffering. And if it goes right, Elon asked. If it goes right, you might actually change something important, Gregory admitted. Just don't lose sight of the people you're trying to help. They're not props in your experiment. They're human beings with real lives and real pain. I know, Elon said quietly. Trust me, I know. They returned to the conference room where the others waited. It was nearly 5 p.m. They'd been at the federal office for almost 6 hours. What happens now? Walter asked. Now we process everything, Gregory said. Within 48 hours, we'll have preliminary findings. Within a week, formal charges if warranted. You'll all be notified of developments, and you're all protected as witnesses. Any retaliation from Premier Trust Bank or associated parties is a federal offense. As they prepared to leave, Gregory pulled Elon aside one more time. Whatever you're planning, he said quietly, make it count. These people are trusting you. Don't let them down. I won't, Elon promised. They exited the federal building into the evening darkness. The city lights glowed around them. Somewhere across town, Premier Trust Bank sat dark and closed. federal seals on its doors. Tomorrow the story would break nationwide. But tonight, 4 unlikely allies stood together on the sidewalk. A disguised billionaire, a rejected veteran, a blacklisted mother, and a security guard with a record. Knowing they'd done something that mattered, they told the truth. And sometimes that's where everything begins. The next morning, Premier Trust Bank was front-page news. Elon sat in his motel room, still wearing his disguise, watching coverage on every major network. Headlines screamed about federal investigations, discriminatory lending practices, and systematic abuse of vulnerable customers. Reporters stood outside the sealed bank building, detailing the allegations. But what struck Elon most was the human interest angle. Every news station had found their own stories. Other people who'd been rejected, humiliated, turned away by Premier Trust Bank and institutions like it. The floodgates had opened. People who'd felt alone in their experiences now realized they were part of a pattern. His prepaid phone rang. It was Isabella. "Are you watching this?" she asked, her voice shaky. "I am," Elon said. "They want to interview us. 3 different news stations have called me. How did they get my number?" "Public records from the federal investigation," Elon explained. "You were listed as a witness. Are you going to do the interviews?" "I don't know. Part of me wants to tell my story, but part of me is terrified. What if my clients see me on TV and think I'm trouble? I could lose everything." "Or," Elon said gently, "your clients could see you standing up for what's right and respect you more. And even if they don't, other opportunities might open up." Isabella was quiet for a moment. "You really believe that? That speaking up leads to good things instead of punishment?" "I have to believe it," Elon said. "Otherwise, what's the point of any of this?" After they hung up, Elon made several calls on his real phone, the one registered to his actual identity. He spoke with lawyers, accountants, and advisors. He set machinery in motion that would take days to fully materialize, but would be worth the wait. By noon, he was back outside Premier Trust Bank. Federal agents were still inside, but the building remained closed to customers. A crowd had gathered, some curious onlookers, some former customers sharing their own stories with reporters. Walter was there, sitting on their usual bench. He spotted Elon and waved him over. "Quite a circus," Walter said. "I've been interviewed by 4 news crews already. They all want to hear about the bicycle shop that never was." "How did it feel?" Elon asked. "Telling your story publicly?" "Scary, liberating, necessary." Walter gestured at the bank. "My whole life I thought if things went wrong, it was somehow my fault. My plan wasn't good enough. My service didn't matter enough. But seeing all these other people with the same experience, it's not us, it's the system. And knowing that, really knowing it, changes something inside." Marcus appeared, not in his security uniform, but in civilian clothes. He looked different without the uniform, younger, less burdened. "They suspended me with pay pending the investigation," Marcus said, sitting heavily on the bench. "Said it was protocol, not punishment, but it feels like punishment." "It's protection," Elon corrected. "They're keeping you separated from the investigation targets. When this is over, you'll either get your job back with accommodations, or you'll have grounds for a substantial settlement." "How do you know so much about federal investigations?" Marcus asked suspiciously. "I read a lot," Elon repeated. "Remember? Library cards are free." Isabella arrived with both children. Sophia ran to show Walter a drawing she'd made, a picture of people holding hands in front of a building with a big X through it. "That's the mean bank," Sophia explained, "and these are the people who stopped them from being mean." "That's beautiful, sweetheart," Walter said, his eyes misting. They sat together as a group, watching the ongoing drama. A black town car pulled up, and an older man in an expensive suit emerged. He pushed through the crowd toward the bank entrance where federal agents stopped him. "That's Charles Worthington," Isabella said, "CEO of Premier Trust Bank's parent company. He's based in New York. If he's here personally, things are really bad." Through his phone, Elon had already learned that the investigation had expanded beyond this one branch. Federal regulators were reviewing practices across all 73 Premier Trust Bank locations nationwide. The statistical patterns were damning. The documentation was overwhelming. But Elon knew that wasn't enough. Banks paid fines all the time and went right back to the same practices. Real change required structural alternatives. His phone buzzed with a text from Darnell, his makeup artist. Saw the news. Incredible. But how long can you maintain the disguise? The longer this goes, the riskier it gets. Darnell was right. Eventually someone would recognize him. A photo would surface. The truth would leak. He needed to control the revelation, not let it happen accidentally. But not yet. Not until the right moment. Gregory Mendez emerged from the bank and spotted their group. He approached with a folder under his arm. "I was hoping to find you all here," he said. "We've made significant progress. I wanted to update you personally before you hear it from the media." They gathered closer. "Based on the evidence collected yesterday and today, we're bringing formal charges against Premier Trust Bank for violations of the Equal Credit Opportunity Act and Fair Housing Act. Charges against specific individuals, including Hartwick, Veronica Chen, and Kevin Rothschild, are being prepared. Criminal charges for evidence destruction are also likely." "What does that mean practically?" Walter asked. "It means Premier Trust Bank will face substantial fines, mandatory oversight, required policy changes, and restitution to victims. It also means this case will set precedent for how discrimination in banking is prosecuted moving forward." "Will I get my loan?" Walter asked quietly. Gregory's expression softened. "The bank will be required to review all rejected applications from the past 3 years under federal supervision. If your application was improperly rejected, which it clearly was, they'll be ordered to approve it with favorable terms." Walter's hands started shaking. "You mean my shop? It could actually happen?" "It will happen," Gregory said firmly. "I'll personally ensure it." Tears rolled down Walter's weathered cheeks. "Sarah," he whispered, "I kept my promise." Isabella put an arm around the old veteran as he cried. Sophia looked confused but patted his knee comfortingly. "What about the rest of us?" Marcus asked. "Do we get anything?" "Anyone who can demonstrate they were harmed by discriminatory practices can file for restitution," Gregory explained. "That includes you, Ms. Rodriguez, for the emotional distress and financial harm caused by check cashing denial. And Mr. Williams, your wrongful documentation of improper practices makes you a whistleblower entitled to protection and compensation." "And him?" Marcus asked, nodding at Elon. "Edison was rejected twice with legitimate cash. Does he get restitution?" Gregory looked at Elon with that knowing expression. "Mr. Turner's case is particularly interesting. He'll be entitled to compensation, certainly, but I suspect his interests lie elsewhere." Before anyone could question that statement, a commotion erupted at the bank entrance. Charles Worthington was arguing loudly with federal agents, demanding access to his building. His face was red with indignation. "That building is private property. You can't just seal it without—" "We can, and we did," an agent interrupted calmly. "You'll receive copies of all warrants and seizure orders. Now please step back." Worthington spotted the group on the bench. His eyes narrowed with contempt. He strode over, radiating the kind of arrogance that comes from never being told no. "Are you the people making these accusations?" he demanded. "Do you have any idea what you've done? Your little complaints have put 700 employees out of work, 700 families affected because you couldn't follow simple banking procedures." Walter stood up slowly, leaning on his cane. "Simple procedures? Is that what you call treating veterans like criminals? Denying service to mothers trying to feed their babies?" "I call it risk management," Worthington snapped. "Banks exist to protect assets, not to be social services. If you don't meet our criteria, that's not discrimination. That's business." "Your criteria are based on appearance and class, not merit," Isabella said, her voice steady despite her anger. "That's the definition of discrimination." "You people don't understand economics," Worthington said dismissively. "You don't understand that some customers are simply more valuable than others? That's not prejudice. That's reality." Elon stood up slowly. Something in his movement made Worthington pause. "Some customers are more valuable," Elon repeated quietly. "You mean wealthier customers." "Obviously," Worthington said, "a customer who maintains high balances and takes substantial loans generates more revenue. That's basic math. And a customer who's been saving every penny for years, who's financially disciplined enough to accumulate $47,000 through hard work, that customer has no value?" Elon's voice was still quiet but carried an edge now. Not if they can't provide proper documentation and account history, Worthington said. Anyone could walk in with cash and a story. We have standards. Your standards, Elon said, seem designed to exclude people who most need banking services while catering to people who have plenty of alternatives. As is our right, Worthington said. We're a private business. We choose our customers. And when those choices systematically discriminate based on protected classes, Gregory interjected, that stops being a right and becomes a crime. Worthington whirled on Gregory. This investigation is overreach. We'll fight this in court. We'll expose it as politically motivated harassment of legitimate business practices. And when we win, everyone involved will face consequences. Is that a threat? Gregory asked calmly. It's a promise, Worthington said. He turned back to the group. You people have no idea what you've started. You think you're heroes? You're fools. You've made enemies of people with resources and reach. That money you think you'll get from restitution? You'll spend it on lawyers defending yourselves from countersuits. Are you threatening federal witnesses? Gregory asked, his tone hardening. Worthington seemed to realize he'd gone too far. I'm simply explaining reality. These people have disrupted a major financial institution based on feelings rather than facts. There will be consequences. Marcus stepped forward, his security training evident in his posture. The only people facing consequences are the ones who broke the law, and that includes you, threatening witnesses in front of a federal agent. Worthington laughed bitterly. A security guard lecturing me about law. The irony is rich. He looked at each of them with naked contempt. Enjoy your moment of feeling important. It won't last. He stormed back to his town car and sped away, leaving an uncomfortable silence. He's scared, Isabella said finally. Really scared. People like that don't show up personally unless they're panicking. He's right to be scared, Gregory said. We found evidence of deliberate policy designed to discourage low-income customers. Internal memos referring to undesirable client demographics. Training materials instructing staff to use complicated language to confuse less educated customers. This isn't accidental. It's intentional. Can we use that? Walter asked. In court? Absolutely. It transforms this from negligence to willful discrimination, which means much harsher penalties. News crews had captured Worthington's confrontation. Within an hour, his threatening words would be playing on every network. His attempt to intimidate would backfire spectacularly, becoming evidence of the culture that enabled discrimination. But Elon was thinking beyond the immediate victory. Worthington had revealed something important. The financial industry would fight back. They'd use their resources, their lawyers, their political connections to minimize consequences and maintain the status quo. That's why punishment alone wasn't enough. There had to be an alternative ready to fill the gap. Something that couldn't be bought, corrupted, or intimidated into submission. It was time to accelerate his plans. I need to make some calls, Elon said, standing up. Can we meet later? There's something I want to discuss with all of you. What kind of something? Marcus asked. An opportunity, Elon said. A chance to be part of building something better instead of just tearing down something broken. They agreed to meet at a nearby diner at 7 p.m. As Elon walked away, Isabella called after him. Edison, whoever you really are, and I'm starting to think you're not who you appear to be. Thank you for seeing us, for standing with us. Elon turned back. You've got it backwards. Thank you for letting me stand with you. You're the real heroes here. He walked several blocks before finding a quiet alley. Then he made a call to his attorney. It's time, Elon said. Start the paperwork for the Edison Foundation for Financial Equality. $500 million initial funding. I want it operational within a week. A week, his attorney sputtered. That's impossible. The legal structure alone. Make it possible, Elon interrupted. And draft offer letters for 4 specific positions. I'll send you the names and details. These aren't negotiable hires. They're foundational to everything. Who are they? People who understand what we're trying to fix because they've lived it. That expertise is more valuable than any MBA. After several more calls setting various plans in motion, Elon returned to his motel room. He studied his reflection in the mirror, the disguise that had taught him so much. The invisible man who'd been seen for who he was, not what he owned. Tomorrow he would begin the reveal, not all at once. That would be too much, too fast. But gradually, strategically, in a way that centered the real issue rather than his celebrity. Tonight, though, he had one more evening as Edison Turner, one more meal with his unlikely friends, one more chance to be just another person fighting for dignity. He wouldn't waste it. At 7 p.m., Elon arrived at the diner still wearing his disguise. It was a modest place called Rosie's, with cracked vinyl booths and fluorescent lights that flickered occasionally, the kind of restaurant where working people could afford to eat. Walter, Isabella, and Marcus were already there, squeezed into a corner booth. Sophia colored on a paper placemat while Miguel slept in Isabella's arms. They'd ordered coffee but were waiting for Elon before getting food. "You sounded serious on the phone," Marcus said as Elon slid into the booth. "What's this opportunity you mentioned?" Elon took a breath. This was it, the beginning of the reveal, the moment everything would shift. "First, I need to be honest with you about something," he said. "About who I really am." They all went still, watching him carefully. "I suspected you weren't just a homeless man," Isabella said quietly. "The way you handled things, the questions you asked, the money you had. Who are you, really?" Elon reached up and began removing pieces of his disguise. He peeled away the prosthetic scarring carefully. He took out the contact lenses that had dulled his eyes. He wiped away layers of dirt makeup with napkins from the table. Walter's eyes widened first. "Oh my God!" Marcus leaned back, mouth open. "No way, no way!" Isabella's hand covered her mouth. "Elon Musk! You're Elon Musk!" Sophia looked up from her coloring. "Who's Elon Musk?" "Someone very rich, baby," Isabella whispered, still staring. The table fell into stunned silence. Other diners glanced over curiously at the commotion, but didn't recognize him without the full reveal. "You were testing the bank," Walter said finally. "This whole thing, you were running an experiment on how they treat poor people." "Yes," Elon admitted, "but it became more than that. It started as research, but it became real. What I experienced with you, what we shared, that was genuine. I gave you my last $50, Isabella said, her voice shaking. "You're a billionaire, and I gave you money I couldn't afford to lose. And that meant everything," Elon said earnestly. "You didn't know who I was. You just knew someone needed help, and you helped despite your own struggles. That's real character." That's what this whole thing was about. Seeing who people really are when there's no advantage to kindness. Marcus was shaking his head in disbelief. "The federal investigation. Did you arrange that? Was Gregory in on this?" "Gregory figured out who I was, but he wasn't part of the original plan," Elon explained. "The investigation was happening anyway. I just accelerated it by providing evidence and testimony. Everything you experienced was real. Everything I documented was genuine discrimination." "So what now?" Walter asked. "You got your social experiment. You proved your point. What happens to us?" This was the crucial moment. "That's why I asked you here," Elon said. He pulled out his phone and opened a document. "Over the past 24 hours, I've been making arrangements. I'm establishing something called the Edison Foundation for Financial Equality. $500 million in initial funding, with more to come as needed." Their eyes went wide at the number. Its mission is to provide banking services, microloans, and business funding to people traditional banks reject. Not because they're bad risks, but because they don't fit narrow definitions of worthy. And I want you three to help me build it. He turned to Walter first. "Mr. Thompson, your bicycle repair shop is approved. Fully funded, $15,000 at zero interest. But I'm also offering you a position as Director of Veteran Entrepreneurship Services. Your job would be consulting with other veterans who want to start businesses, helping them develop plans, connecting them with resources. Salary of $85,000 a year, full benefits." Walter's hand trembled as he reached for his coffee cup. I don't know what to say." "Say you'll consider it," Elon said. He turned to Isabella. "Ms. Rodriguez, you told me you used to work in banking before you were fired for advocating for a client. The foundation needs someone who understands both sides, banking procedures and the reality of struggling customers. I'm offering you the position of Director of Community Outreach. Your role would be designing services that actually help people, training staff to see clients as human beings, ensuring we never become what Premier Trust Bank became. $95,000 a year, full benefits, flexible hours for your children, and childcare assistance. Isabella's tears were flowing now. That's more than I made in my entire banking career. You're worth more, Elon said simply. He turned to Marcus. Mr. Williams, you spent months documenting injustice when you could have looked away. You risked your job, your security, everything, because you knew someone needed to witness what was happening. That's investigative work. That's integrity. I need someone to head up our Fair Practice Oversight Division, making sure we live up to our promises, someone who'll hold us accountable when we start slipping, someone who's not afraid to speak truth to power. $100,000 a year, full benefits. Marcus was crying now too, not bothering to hide it. My daughter's insulin, I could actually afford it without choosing between medicine and rent. Your daughter will never have to worry about insulin again, Elon said firmly. I promise you that. The booth was silent except for soft crying. Other diners were definitely watching now, but Elon didn't care. Why us? Walter asked, his voice hoarse. You could hire anyone. People with degrees, experience, connections. Because you have something degrees can't teach, Elon said. You've lived it. You know what it feels like to be invisible, to be judged by appearance rather than character, to watch opportunities slip away because of systemic barriers. That knowledge, that empathy, it's the foundation of everything this organization needs to be. What if we mess up? Isabella asked. What if we're not good enough? Then we'll learn together, Elon said. I'm not looking for perfection. I'm looking for people who genuinely care about getting this right. Sophia tugged on Isabella's sleeve. Mama, are we going to be okay now? Isabella pulled her daughter close, sobbing. Yes, baby. Yes, we're going to be okay. Walter wiped his eyes with a napkin. My Sarah would have loved this. She always said good things happen to people who stand up for what's right. I never believed her. Thought that was just hopeful thinking. Maybe she was right, Elon said softly. Marcus leaned forward. When does this start? The foundation? The jobs? When does it become real? It's already real, Elon said. The paperwork is being filed now. Within a week, we'll have offices, infrastructure, everything needed to start serving clients. Within a month, we'll open our first location right here in Austin. Within 6 months, I want to expand to 10 cities. Within a year, nationwide. That's ambitious, Marcus said. It has to be, Elon replied. Premier Trust Bank has 73 locations. They serve millions of customers, many of whom they've failed or rejected. Those people need alternatives. They need them now, not in 5 years when we've carefully grown at a traditional pace. He pulled out more documents. These are official offer letters. Take them home, read them, think about it. Talk to lawyers if you want. I'll pay for that. But I need answers within 48 hours because we're moving fast. They each took their letter with trembling hands. There's one more thing, Elon said. This foundation, it's not charity. Yes, I'm funding it initially, but the goal is sustainability. We'll charge fair fees, pay competitive interest rates, and operate like a real financial institution. The difference is our mission, our values, our commitment to seeing every client as someone with potential rather than someone with problems. Will it work? Walter asked. Can something like this actually compete with traditional banks? I don't know, Elon admitted. But I know it's necessary, and I know we have to try. The worst thing that happens is we fail, but at least we failed trying to do something good. The worst thing is we succeed, and then everyone wants a piece of it, Marcus corrected. Success makes you a target. Let them target us, Elon said. We'll have truth on our side. A waitress approached nervously. Excuse me, are you really Elon Musk? The reveal was spreading through the restaurant. Other diners were pulling out phones. I am, Elon confirmed. And these are the people who reminded me why this work matters. He pulled out cash, real cash from his real wallet, not the disguise money, and handed the waitress $500. For everyone's meals tonight, and keep the change. The waitress's eyes went wide. Sir, that's too much. It's not nearly enough, Elon said, but it's a start. As word spread, People began approaching the table. Some wanted autographs. Some wanted to share their own stories of banking discrimination. Some just wanted to say thank you for standing with ordinary people. Elon listened to every story, gave his attention to every person. These were the invisible made visible. These were the people the system was designed to ignore. After an hour, security arrived, Elon's actual security team, alerted by his location. They politely cleared space, allowing the group to finish their meal in relative peace. "This is going to be everywhere by tomorrow," Marcus observed. "News crews, social media, everything. Are you ready for that?" "I am," Elon said, "because we're going to control the narrative. Tomorrow morning, I'm holding a press conference. I want you three there with me, not as props, but as partners. You'll announce the foundation alongside me. You'll explain why this matters from your perspectives. The story won't be billionaire goes undercover. It'll be real people build real solutions." "I've never done a press conference," Isabella said nervously. "You stood up to Veronica Chen and Charles Worthington," Elon reminded her. "You can handle reporters." Walter was reading his offer letter again, tears still falling. Director of Veteran Entrepreneurship Services. "I never dreamed I'd have a title like that." "You earned it," Elon said. "Not because of your military service, though that matters, but because you never gave up on your dream despite every obstacle. That persistence is what we need." Sophia had fallen asleep against Isabella. Miguel continued sleeping in his mother's arms. These children would grow up in a different world now, with opportunities their mother never had. "I have one condition," Isabella said suddenly. "If I'm director of community outreach, I want to make sure single mothers get special consideration. Women like me who are trying to build businesses while raising kids alone? We face barriers nobody talks about." "Done," Elon said immediately. "In fact, add that to your job description. Design programs specifically for single parents." "I want something too," Walter said. "Programs for people with disabilities, physical or mental. Lots of veterans struggle with PTSD, traumatic brain injuries, physical limitations. Traditional banks see disability as risk. We need to see it as just another factor to work with." "Absolutely," Elon agreed. "What about you, Marcus? What's your condition?" Marcus thought carefully. "Criminal justice reform lending. People like me who made mistakes years ago and paid their debt to society but can't get second chances. We need programs that look at who people are now, not who they were at their worst moment." "All of it," Elon said. "Single parents, people with disabilities, formerly incarcerated individuals, everyone who's been systematically excluded. That's exactly what this foundation exists for." They talked for another hour, planning, dreaming, designing a financial institution that had never existed before. One built on radical inclusion rather than exclusion. One that measured success not just by profit, but by lives changed. By the time they left the diner, it was nearly 10 p.m. News vans were already arriving, having tracked Elon's location. Reporters called questions as they exited. "Mr. Musk, is it true you went undercover as a homeless man?" "Mr. Musk, are these the people from the bank investigation?" "Mr. Musk, what are you trying to accomplish?" Elon paused on the sidewalk, his three new partners beside him. Security held back the press, but cameras caught everything. "Tomorrow at 10 a.m., we'll hold a full press conference to explain everything," Elon announced. "But I'll say this now. What I discovered going undercover is that our financial system is broken. It serves the people who need it least and rejects the people who need it most. That ends now. The Edison Foundation for Financial Equality launches next week, and it will operate on one simple principle. Everyone deserves dignity." He gestured to Walter, Isabella, and Marcus. These three people, a veteran, a mother, a whistleblower, they're not just witnesses to injustice. They're architects of the solution. Tomorrow, they'll help me announce how we're going to change everything. The reporters erupted with more questions, but Elon and his group climbed into the waiting SUV. As they drove away, Sophia woke up and looked out the window at the news cameras. "Mama, why are there so many lights?" she asked sleepily. "Because something important is happening, baby," Isabella said, hugging her daughter close. "Something that's going to make the world a little bit better." In the front seat, Walter still clutched his offer letter. "I can't believe this is real." "Believe it," Elon said, "because tomorrow we announce it to the world. And the day after that, we start building it. And nothing, not Premier Trust Bank, not Charles Worthington, not anyone, is going to stop us from giving people the chances they deserve. Marcus's phone buzzed with a text from Gregory Mendez. Saw the news. Well played. Premier Trust Bank's stock dropped 23% after hours. Shareholders are in full panic. You've shaken the entire industry. Now comes the hard part, proving you can do better. Marcus showed the text to Elon. He's right, Elon said. The hard part starts now. Exposing problems is easy. Building solutions is hard. Are you ready? All three of them nodded. Then let's get to work, Elon said. We've got a foundation to build, people to serve, and a system to prove wrong. As the SUV drove through Austin's nighttime streets, 4 people who'd been invisible just days ago planned how to make sure no one ever felt invisible again. Tomorrow they would face cameras, critics, and doubters. Tomorrow they would announce something unprecedented. Tomorrow the world would watch as a billionaire, a veteran, a mother, and a whistleblower stood together and declared that dignity was not negotiable, that character mattered more than credit scores, and that the financial system existed to serve all people, not just the wealthy. Tomorrow everything would change. But tonight, they allowed themselves to simply sit together in the quiet comfort of knowing they'd done something that mattered. They told the truth, stood together against injustice, and refused to stay invisible. And sometimes that's exactly where revolutions begin. 3 months later, the Edison Foundation for Financial Equality opened its first 5 locations across America. Walter Thompson's bicycle repair shop, Sarah's Dream Cyclery, became profitable within its first month and employed 3 other veterans. Isabella Rodriguez designed programs that helped 127 single mothers start businesses in the first quarter. Marcus Williams's oversight division caught and corrected 3 instances where foundation staff began slipping into old discriminatory patterns, proving that even well-intentioned systems need constant vigilance. Premier Trust Bank paid $847 million in fines and restitution. Charles Worthington resigned in disgrace. Veronica Chen and Kevin Rothschild faced criminal charges for evidence destruction. But the real victory wasn't in punishment, it was in transformation. Across America, other financial institutions began examining their own practices, terrified of becoming the next premier trust bank. The Edison Foundation's success proved that serving everyone could be both profitable and moral. And every time Elon Musk walked into a foundation office, he thought about those days as Edison Turner. Invisible, rejected, judged. He never forgot what it felt like, and he never let anyone else forget either, because some lessons are too important to forget, and some people are too important to ignore. So that's how Elon Musk's undercover mission changed everything. A billionaire who chose to see the invisible, and 3 ordinary heroes who refused to stay silent. Now I want to hear from you. Where are you watching this video from? Drop your country or city in the comments below. I love hearing from viewers all around the world. If this story inspired you, please hit that like button and subscribe to our channel. By subscribing, you're helping us spread these powerful messages of kindness and standing up for what's right to millions more people who need to hear them. And guess what? We have another incredible story ready for you right now. Click on the video appearing on your screen to watch what happens next. Trust me, you don't want to miss it. Thank you so much for watching, and remember, everyone deserves to be treated with dignity and respect, no matter what they look like or how much money they have. Be the change you want to see in the world. See you in the next video.